Let's do it.
According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 5,486 people died at work in 2022, a 5.7% increase from the prior year. In 2023 alone, there were 7,188 fall protection violations cited by the Occupational Health and Safety Commission. Safety and Health Commission. I thought that up there too. By the Occupational Safety and Health Commission. Falls also happen to be the leading cause of workplace fatalities. The National Safety Council reports that between 2021 and 22, there were 57,610 injuries that resulted in 525 deaths due to workplace violence.
Whew.
Right? Now, some of those included shooting, some of those included like actual accidental violence, fights, whatever. One thing though, so the reason I wanted to touch on these reports is because when a workplace fatality happens, that employer has 8 hours to notify OSHA. Otherwise, they get fined, and we'll find out soon about how much they get fined. It hurts them,
Good.
but it's also incredibly easy to die. So humans are crazy fragile.
So
Take
we're
this,
not for some reason.
but we're not for some reason. We can live like a quadriplegic, yet if we fall off of a pallet, we can die. So
Yep.
we'll take this for example. This happened at Ericsson's Diversified Corporation, the office of Eau Claire, Wisconsin. This actually happened in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. I picked a lot of things. Unfortunately, a lot of the ones that I picked were from Wisconsin, but dude, people die in weird ways up there. I don't know.
One state's got to have that record, you know.
I figured it'd be Alabama.
That's
I don't
fair.
know.
That's
I
just
just
where
like
banjos play.
ding, 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 ding. So at 12 p.m. on May 25th, 2020, 2020,
Oh, God.
employee number one was unloading produce from a pallet in the produce cooler. This is, by the way, a grocery store.
Okay.
Once he was finished, he went to stack the empty pallet onto the others. He lost his balance, fell onto the floor. He was in the process of moving a pallet by hand when he fell at the same level.
Hmm.
According to the employer, employee number one stated that his leg had given out. Employee number one was hospitalized for his injuries and sustained a fractured hip.
Whew.
Employee number one was hospitalized from May 25th to May 26th, during which time he had surgery for the fractured hip. June 9th, employee number one died at home due to surgery complications, including cellulitis and underlying medical conditions.
Jesus.
So and by the way, this person was 76.
Oh, dear Lord. Okay, our system should have supported this poor person so he could have retired and lived his life out.
Yeah.
Ooh.
This is why I wanted to get into it, because 76-year-olds, but he just shouldn't be
His
working
leg did give
probably.
out.
I
Yeah.
hope, I really hope he's working because he wants to.
Yeah, not that he had to,
You
because
know,
dear God, horrible way.
um, and for him to have fallen off of a pallet and he broke his hip.
Yeah,
It's a trope. This is why I picked it. Like he broke
yeah,
his hip and died. This
yeah,
isn't something that I thought was like possible when I was a kid. That I thought like falling and
yeah,
breaking your hip. Oh, I fallen and I can't get up. Like
yeah,
I thought it was a meme. You know.
yeah. No, no, my bio dad jumped out of a truck, like a lifted one, but not like a semi truck, and broke his hip. Yeah.
Oh God, when I was in high school, I rode BMX.
Yeah.
I was okay at it. I could do a bar spin here and there, do a 360 down some stairs and stuff. I'll go to skate
It's
parks and all this stuff. Well, we had a relatively healthy BMX scene, surprisingly, in the mid 2000s in my rural Illinois area.
I believe that
And
BMX was the shit back then. Those are the cool kids, man.
fuck yeah, dude, we would just have dirt jumps in the gravel pit. That's what we
Hell
did.
yeah.
We didn't even bring shovels, dude. We just went in there. We went down there with our fucking etnies and our DCs and just dug it out with our heels. And we would
Yeah.
just build a hip, fucking doing tabletops and turn downs. I'm getting ahead of myself here, or I'm getting excited, excitable, whatever. Anyway, I used to ride occasionally with this other guy, Frankie,
Yeah, Frankie.
and he was this point in BMX history. We're talking mid school, like 2006, 2007. 2005 actually even the front flip was just becoming a thing,
Yeah.
and this guy had gone to Woodward, which is a very well known in action sports skate park complex. You go there and it's heaven basically if
Yeah.
you're into that kind of thing. And he went in the foam pit and he's practicing front flips. This is the caliber of riders I was riding with, like motherfuckers doing backflips to manuals down into the bowl and all this stuff.
Jesus.
And but yeah, we didn't fuck around. And this guy ended up breaking his pelvis
Oh,
on his bike, just
God. Oh.
trying this front flip.
Oh.
I don't know that he walks right to this day. This happened when he was like 16, maybe 17. By the way, later on that year, after he had healed, or maybe it was probably before it happened, now that I think about it, his senior prank was he just wore soft jogger pants and took Viagra.
Oh, no. Oh, God. Times were different.
Dude, it's objectively hilarious. Like, he's not doing anything wrong. He's just walking around with a boner.
And how do you bring that up? How?
Viagra, apparently. So, what ended up happening out of the 76-year-old man's broken hip and tragic death? Well, let's see here. The penalties amounted to, let's see here. We have an initial penalty of $6,747 and a current penalty of $5,400. Uh,
That's not enough.
no, it's not. So the initial penalty, yeah, it's anywhere between 5 and 7 grand, basically. Um,
Didn't
that's
know
not
that's how
enough,
much a
man.
human's life is worth. That's crazy.
That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. That's why I wanted to bring this up. Not to mention, it's like a juicy topic, right? Like, what could have happened differently? What could have been done differently? Well, he could probably have had better shoes on.
Training,
Not the victim
support.
blame here by any long shot, but he also
Yeah.
didn't. I hope he didn't have to work. I don't know anything about the guy, obviously, and I don't even know
Yeah.
his name. Not that if his name was in here, I wouldn't mention it anyway, just out of respect. But
Hmm.
um, and it happened in the freezer. You know how cold those freezers are.
God, yeah, that makes it so much worse. Well, and that also implies slip risk. And so, like in an ideal world, like if I were going to pretend that everything is great, I feel like my assumption would be if I fall and I get injured at work and it is straight up like I have a friend who fell and he got injured at work because the stair wasn't maintained well and they had known for years. Finally caused an injury. Workers' comp took months to resolve basic parts of it. My assumption is that you should be taken care of by that company from that point on. It was established, they knew it was wrong. You are taken care of until that limb is back online. And if you die, my assumption would be that the company needs to goddamn continue paying your salary to your family
There's got to be an
until,
insurance thing
yeah,
for that, right? Like,
it
I know
should.
you
I
get
mean, it should be on
disability,
them.
but
Yeah,
so here's my issue with disability in this
yeah,
context. I know this isn't necessarily where you were going,
yeah,
but this is where you took my brain. So
yeah.
you just sort of grabbed it and was like, follow me. And so somehow I got the disability with that. And I think if it's a workplace incident that the workplace knew about, there are several types of OSHA violations. One of them is called willful, and it's a
Okay.
hefty violation, as you can imagine, because it is an intentional, uh, and it's an intentional violation of OSHA protocols, as
Yeah.
the name implies. And fuck, where was I going with that? Willful.
Willfully, we're going with the disability.
That's right.
Uh, yeah,
So when the company performs a willful violation, that is a heftier fine. And that should also come with the responsibility of having to pay for the medical bills and the salary of that employee while that
yeah,
employee is out, should they have gotten hurt in the scenario that that facility knew about. Now,
yeah.
if the employee, and I'm saying this a little bit louder because there's some of these motherfuckers that I've worked with that think it's funny to play around with some machine guarding. If
Ah,
the employee does this, it is a willful violation. They should be, and I'm speaking to you fucking managers out there, a willful violation should be an immediate termination.
yeah, that's different. Like if they know, like again, assuming perfect world, they were taught not to do this shit.
Yes.
You could hurt or kill someone. Like you don't
Yes.
deserve to suffer. At least maybe the government should step in and give you a paycheck until you find another career. But you should never go back into that career and risk somebody else's life again. Jesus.
No. In fact, I had working in rebar again. Um, I was running a shear. I was running an alligator shear. It's basically a giant pair of scissors like this. The rebar came through this way and it cut like that.
Yeah.
Well, I had two stops that would clamp the rebar down to keep it from scattering around and stuff. And I was cutting 4 bar, number 4 bar, which is about the size of my pinky. And I was cutting
Okay.
it in 2 foot sections. Now, at the end of this, because my machine didn't cut exactly 2 foot and the bars didn't come from the middle exactly 60 foot, um, there was some left over. Well, some of these leftover bars would be like 16 inches long.
Yeah.
Now, the console of my shear had a big yellow industrial grate basically in front of it. And I never really understood what it was for until one day cutting this bar, and I had a clipboard in front of me right here. I couldn't really see what was happening up there. I didn't really ever need to. This
Yeah.
was for me to keep my tally and stuff, keep count, all this thing.
Yeah.
So I make the last cut, and this clipboard flies up at me, and just the paper just ever so on my nose. I don't know if it actually, I don't think it actually touched, but I felt the wind, from like on my nose. I'm like, that
Damn.
was what the hell? And I go around to clear the blade of the excess material, and I look over, and there's a piece of 4 bar that had gone through that grate and had just been dangling there. It had shot out. There had been such force from the break
Holy crap.
and from the shear coming down that it shot this piece of rebar. By the way, it was about right here. Just
Oh God.
now, if it went through that metal grate, that metal protector, it had gone through my neck for sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And
Holy
I've
crap.
I've seen other shops. I've actually worked at other shops, unfortunately, that did not have that grate. I made them put that fucker in.
God,
Like,
yeah.
I'm not running this thing
Absolutely.
without it.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
So
That's terrifying.
sometimes my rant, uh, culminating into this point, sometimes it just kind of it falls on the employee to bring to light the problems that are on the floor to the managers. Managers
Yeah.
aren't always on the floor, right? Like it's this dynamic that needs to happen, like we were talking about in the last episode again.
Yeah. You had the experience and the training. You're able now to proactively call out, like, this could literally kill someone. Fix it. And a
Yeah,
good
man.
manager should listen and go, holy shit, that's terrifying. I'm on it.
Yeah, like let's find a different way to do that. Like this is a really good
Yeah.
point, employee number one.
Instead of being like Boeing, to bring it all back to that, and going, yeah, no, that costs extra money. We're downsizing right now. Deal with it.
Seriously, and what better way to downsize than improperly train your employees and just have them kill themselves off?
Yeah.
You don't have to pay you don't have to pay unemployment for that, right?
I wish we had a recorder in the room of some of these executives because I bet they talk mad trash. Like, we've already quoted a few times executives saying horrible things about people. I bet when they think they're alone, they've got to say some horrible, dehumanizing things about people.
Oh, well, you've heard some of the things that like politicians say when they don't think of being recorded. Why would business owners be any different? The only difference between a business owner and a politician is, well, which business they're running, honestly, because America is a corporation.
Yeah. Yeah. And how much money they're making on it.
That, yeah, yeah. I mean, everyone's making money somewhere, right? Like that's the only reason a law is ever passed. Someone's making money on it somewhere.
Yep. I mean, that's how capitalism works. So I'm looking back on this and realizing that I was woefully trained in so many places because, like, at one place I was the OSHA representative, and then I was on it. From that point on, I knew the rules, at least for California's OSHA regulations. But beforehand, like, I didn't. Oh my God, let's see. Carl's Jr. We had multiple burns. There was a small hotel that I worked at for a while where someone accidentally mixed ammonia and bleach,
Oh
and
no, you
that
just made like mustard gas.
absolutely, yeah, no, all we saw on the security camera, and our GM cleared that front desk, which was like fucking 8 feet tall. He cleared like a Kentucky Derby racehorse because we just saw the security camera of the door open and the
Oh,
housekeeper fall out, and he was like up. And yeah, had to teach them that. That was not reported to OSHA. Neither was Carl's Jr. stuff.
no shit.
Um, I think the first time that I ran into a place where someone actually handled it was 4 or 5 jobs in. Was someone was cleaning a wine glass in the hotel, and they hadn't taught her how to properly clean it because when you clean it, you have very light grip. You just kind of with a microfiber rag.
Hmm.
Microplastics are disgusting. That's a story for a different time. But if you apply any pressure, the stems will just So that's expensive, but also there's a very rare chance that, like what happened to this gal, the glass shears, and when it did, it had just enough force that a piece severed the tendon in her arm.
Oh,
And when the tendon in your arm goes, this is like a bowstring. It went snap straight up through and obliterated the muscle in her entire arm. And that was the first time I ran across like OSHA getting involved, and like basically
holy shit.
that hotel was obligated to stay open even though they weren't making as much profit to stay open as they needed to, because they had to pay for her existence because they failed to train her.
Yeah. Holy fuck. Like that's you didn't die, but I mean, you know,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, apparently the damage requires so much reconstructive surgery that like she will never regain full use of that arm.
and she woke up that day. Here is my ultimate really like this. I really just want to get this message out to people that people die at work all the time. It could be you tomorrow.
Yep.
Because she woke up that day a normal day.
Oh, absolutely. Just doing a normal thing. Can you imagine? You just squeak, 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 and everything changes. Like it's insane. And their employers again should have a culture that support not wanting to be monsters about this, because there were managers who complained about that. God, we'd be my
Complain
P&L would
about
be doing
what?
better if she hadn't fucked up. And it's like she didn't do it on purpose.
Jesus
Like she's not thriving right now. It's
Christ.
so dark. Was a
I
German manager who was that crude. I did not like her.
I'd expect that from a German manager.
Yes,
I
her
got
main complaint was that West Coast employees were so soft and took everything so seriously. Back in Germany, it was just about work. I'm like, okay, well, treat us nicely and we'll do nice things for you, bitch.
hey, you want World War II happen again right here in this fucking kitchen?
Right? Reminder, the Americans won.
So I've got another one here. This one
Okay.
is I picked this one because the little reckless, it's got a
Yeah.
golf cart and it happened in Tallahassee.
Very Tallahassee actually sounding. All right.
Right?
I'm
Yeah,
in.
that's what I
I'm
was
in.
thinking. I was like, golf cart, and they okay. Uh, I feel horrible about laughing right before I go to read a death report. So
Fuck. Yeah,
apologies
fair
to
enough.
employee number one here. At 3:42 on May 2nd, 2020, employee number one, a 22-year-old employee, was working for a new car dealer. He and three other coworkers were riding on a club car golf cart. Immediate no go.
Oh my god. Yep.
As
I
soon as
have
I
a feeling
read
I know where
that,
this is going.
as soon as I read that, I knew exactly because club cart, that's a two-seater. I'm not a
Yep.
golf cart expert, but I fucking live in Florida. I see them everywhere.
Yep.
That's a two-seater. And so anyway, moving on. They were driving the golf cart within the company's property, so just on the parking lot. They were heading down to move vehicles from one section of the lot where pavement activity was conducted to another. I don't know why that was a relevant qualifier. Anyway,
Mm. Going from
getting
point A to
distracted here.
point B.
Yeah, I was just like, yeah, duh, obviously they're in the fucking parking lot. I'm getting distracted here. Two of the coworkers were in the front driver's and passenger seat. Duh.
Yep.
The employee and the third coworker were standing on the rear footrest of the golf cart.
No.
The golf cart was headed forward when the driver made a sudden turn. The employee fell off during that turn, hit his head on the concrete, and suffered head trauma and died 9 days later after being hospitalized the day it happened. Now, I bring this up because I have done many, many things like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And many, many other people have too. Maybe some of you have done something like this and you didn't die.
Mhm.
But I also bring this up because it ties into my younger man kind of self. I resonated with this because I was always warned about getting in fights when I was younger, going to bars and getting rough and tumble and stuff, because all it takes is one solid hit to the jaw to land someone's head on the
Yep.
curb and you're going to jail for life.
Yep.
So as poorly as this turned out, it was at least not
Accidental.
murder,
Yeah.
but it
But
very well could have
shit.
been. I do actually, I wonder, it seems silly to even wonder because I'm sure not, but I wonder if the driver of the golf cart got any legal trouble.
I don't know. Like, okay, so I actually have an oddly relevant example of this because I worked at a place that was spread across dozens of acres, let's say. Um, So we had golf carts to bring guests around, and then otherwise we would bike things from point A to point B, and we like literally like haul luggage with bikes. Very short stint I had at that place because management was evil, but boy, my legs were ripped.
I bet.
But we had this insane golf court safety program. I remember being like, this is overkill. So what happened? How did we get sued? We had to train everyone like they are not allowed to lean off the sides, you're not allowed to do this, you must have your hands and arms inside the vehicle at all times, like all this stuff. It turns out somebody used to drive in one of those things and he'd stick his left foot out and just have it hanging out until one day his heel caught and it shattered his femur.
Mm.
Yeah, so like golf carts seem funny, honk honk, little car battery runs it, but they've got a lot of oomph behind them. If you the femur is one of the strongest bones in the body, and it
It is the
snapped in
strongest. It's
two.
the thickest too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was so like God,
it's
I
the
can't imagine
quintessential
that.
caveman knock 'em around bone. That's the femur.
Yeah, and it not the rest of the leg, just that went. So like he was on workers comp for a long time, and then they had to have a whole training program because it was a liability now. It was crazy.
This this is the fucking reactionary bullshit that I see at so many factories. I
Yeah,
see this reactionary sort of backwards ass management where administrative like laws and rules and regulations and whatever are only ever changed after someone gets hurt or dies.
yeah, yeah, and then suddenly it's a liability and they need to change it, and then they kinda go overkill on it because, like,
Yeah.
I
It's an
I had to take a
overreaction for
I had to
correction.
take a 6.5-hour training course and then pass, like, a driver's test, and I was like, "I've been driving ATVs all my life, like, I got the golf cart, don't worry, I'm not gonna stick my leg out." Um,
I used to
but
work
that
I
was
used to work
that.
at a food oil company, Bungie Oil for anyone who's but
Yeah.
used to work for this company and they had, I mean, we're talking fucking 14 years ago at this point, but the orientation was 40 hours long. Forklift
Oof,
driving was an 8-hour day
oof,
just so I could get in it, turn it on, move it out of my way, turn it off. I wasn't allowed to lift the forks, and I was only allowed to back it up.
sweet Jesus.
I've been driving a forklift with mismatched odds or mismatched loads for basically my entire adult life. This was a piece of cake. I was just like, this is extreme. This is
Yeah,
really extreme. Until I saw bad forklift drivers. And so now I'm wondering something I've never wondered before. I wonder what happened to make them have changed
yeah.
that. It was also
We
a German company. German heavy episode tonight, folks. Also a German company. So maybe there's something to that. By the way, this car dealership
Hmm.
was fined roughly $30,000 for all, or $40,000 for all this.
I mean, at least he was worth more than the other employee number one example, but it's still not near enough to take care of if he had family or his family.
That's right. And I think the impact to the family is like kind of lost in the mix sometimes in these conversations.
Yeah,
Which is a little odd because when we're at work, we're often thinking about our family and stuff. But
yeah,
when people die at work, when people die in general, it's kind of all you can think about.
yeah. When I mean, I had one person tell me everybody's grandfather dies, you don't need to go say goodbye. And that kind of inhuman shit is what destroys people's morale. Like, why would I ever want to work for that manager again? Thankfully, she wasn't my direct manager, and my supervisor at the time went, "Go home early. I'll clock you out at 3 when you're done." It's like 1 p.m. It's like, I'll just clock you out at 3. Don't worry about it.
Fuck
Just
yeah.
go." Because I was about ready to throttle that person.
I'll throttle you.
Oh yeah, the shaking and everything.
Yeah,
The
isolate that
irony
sucker
was,
by.
the irony in that story is my grandfather had passed due to lymphatic cancer. And I found out about 4 years later, she got the identical strain and it killed her. And she was such a nasty human being that no one was by her bedside when she passed.
There's
It's like karma.
damn it. I this is such a loose quote I have in my mind, but it was a funeral director quote that I had seen. I don't remember where, but anyway, he was saying that for the first time in his life, and he's been doing this for a while, for the first time in his life, he's starting to see empty funerals.
Oof. Ooh, that's not a good trend to see. That's bad.
And the fact that he phrased it as I'm starting to see means that he's expecting more.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would agree with that. I
100%.
mean, with the majority of millennials not having kids and Gen Z is even worse off. Yeah, who's going to be at my funeral? I don't know. I don't really
Mhm,
care. I'll be dead. I don't really care who's at my funeral. I care about what I leave behind for the people who might show up and their
mhm,
people.
mhm. Supporting the community, passing down
That's
good
right.
stories that
I mean,
help everyone.
that's what this is about. Trying to get that
Yeah,
community going and rallying together because people don't need to be fucking dying at work.
yeah. All
I have
19 of
some
our subscribers.
right, dude. Fucking, I'm down with that. 12 of them
Hell
here.
yeah.
Look at that. 31 altogether. Fuck it. We're
Woo.
on top of the world. We'll get there. So I have another one here. I have
Okay.
so many that we can get
Oh
into,
god,
honestly,
sure.
but I have two that are just fucking brutal.
Yeah.
And these people these places were fined quite a lot of money. So this place is MDLG Inc.
Okay.
I don't know. So I'm guessing by the nature of this, as you'll soon hear, I'm guessing by the nature of this incident, it is a grain elevator or
Ooh,
something along those
oh
lines.
god. Those are like hippos, oddly high death rates.
Yeah. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So I didn't even notice the timing of this. I'm just now looking at that. Like, holy fuck. Okay. So 4 a.m. on
Ooh.
May 27, 2020. This is in Phoenix City, Alabama, by the way. Phenix City. Yeah, you can't even get that right. Like, come on, Alabama. Jesus. You're really just like showing your public school there. Anyway,
Where you at? Phoenix.
Phoenix.
It's
Phoenix.
right
That's
next
where
to
I'm at.
Phoenix.
Oh, we're at Phoenix.
Oh shit.
Employee number one was working as the night boiler operator. By the way, do you
Damn,
know?
that's a metal description.
I'm not
Shit.
entirely sure what the night boiler operator is. As someone who grew up on farms, not entirely sure what the night boiler operator is. I have a guess, um, but I
Damn.
think that it's called something different down there. Anyway, that sounds like a fucking horrible idea. To anyone out there who's like boiler maker or boiler operator, yeah, boiler maker, that's the one you would get into. That's a good union. Boiler
Yep.
operator, probably not.
Yeah.
Good thing for us, it actually goes into a pretty good description of how this thing operates. The boiler is fed by a series of augers that move wood chips to the boiler from a silo that stores the wood chips. The wood chips
Okay.
are moved to the silo from a conveyor that collects wood chips throughout the sawmill. So basically, it's just like the scrap sawmill that is dumped throughout the facility into this conveyor that is fed into this silo.
Okay.
This caused the wood chips to no longer be fed to the boiler. The wood chips feeding the boiler, by the way.
Yeah.
Employee number one had entered inside the silo to move the wood chips to the center of the auger using a shovel. So the silo, big circle, straight cylinder. He's in there with a shovel and he's moving the shit toward the center. These silos, by the way, have a groove cut in the concrete floor where this auger spins. And an auger, for those who don't know, is a screw inside of a tube. This one, sans tube. This is an exposed screw, probably about 2 foot in diameter, in a
This is
very
going
tight
so
space.
bad. This is going so bad.
The point of the auger in the middle of this is to funnel the product, the wood chips in this case, into the auger, and the auger would spin and push it into wherever it needs to go.
Yeah.
Employee number one entered inside the silo to move the wood chips to the center of the auger using a shovel, where they would drop down and be fed toward the boiler, just as I described. While inside the wood chip silo, the sweeping auger was still spinning. Employee number one was caught by the spinning auger. For anyone with a weak stomach, this next
Oh god,
couple
it's gonna be so
sentences might be
bad.
a little rough. So fast forward about 8 to 10 seconds. Was caught by the spinning auger and was fed through several augers. He suffered fatal injuries and was killed.
Sweet fucking Jesus. That is a no
36
fear.
years old.
Holy shit.
So some of the See here. This is the one that there were quite a few grain silo incidents, and I have another one from Wisconsin that we may or may not get to, but this is the one that really stuck out to me because it was the most gruesome. And I know so many people that have lost fingers and toes in augers.
Yeah.
Just so probably half dozen just off the top of my head, and they're all farmers,
Yep.
every single one of them.
Yep.
Do you know why? I suspect farmers have such a high rate of deaths, honestly, on the job.
Mhm.
I reckon it's training.
I mean, your training usually comes from your family. Like when I was on the ranch, it was passed down from grandfather to father to son, and that was the way we learned. And they learned by experience.
Yep. Yeah. There's no standardization on the farm. You make do, and if you're really well off, you don't have to make do. But you
Yeah.
get a poof stick, in which case you just, I want that poof.
Wow.
That's your green privilege for you. God damn,
Yep.
Frankie, look at you. So
You
you'll
did
be
something
happy
with
to
yourself,
know,
you sack of shit.
right? You'll be happy to know they got a total of 12 violations
Okay.
um, out of this. The initial penalty was $374,000. They appealed it down to 178.
That shouldn't be fucking allowed.
No, no, it
And it's
absolutely
still
should
not
not
enough.
be. But here's the thing. Here's where it gets a little fun. Because it's a compromise. There's five, I guess, classes listed here of violations. You have unclassified, you have other, you have repeat, willful, and serious, with the last three being the most serious, obviously.
Yeah.
Their serious and their willful violations were diminished, but they started at 50,000 and 323,000, respectively. And they were appealed down to 36,000 and 81,000, respectively. So 323,000 down to 81,000. OSHA really just fucking sucked a dick there.
Yeah, like what the hell is the point if you're just gonna back down every time an employer goes, but wait, please?
Dude, a
Like,
guy was fed feet first into a fucking auger, and they're like, no, let's go ahead and take $260,000 off of this price tag for you.
yeah, like, oh, you learned your lesson. Haha. That person died in agonizing pain.
And just you're screaming. Just imagine the
God,
bloody
yeah.
fucking mess of viscera and bone shards. What would
God,
that
yeah.
smell like? And these people had to
Well,
go
and
in and clean it up. By the way, like, it's not like the government comes in and cleans up this mess. There's
yeah,
businesses out there that will come and do that for you, and it's incredibly expensive. So I
yep.
totally understand there may be some insolvency issues with some of these scenarios, but
But
I
also,
have an issue with that with this specific instance because the things they were fucking cited for was no inspection of energy control, no procedures developed for energy control, no permits for the work performed, and exposure to amputation hazards, willful violations, and repeat violations. Now, getting back to the repeat violations, they started out with $0. They were banged with $58,000 in the settlement of repeat
and
violations.
the
So
thing
I
that
have to
frustrates
think
me,
that carries some weight
yeah, the thing
in a
that
different way.
frustrates me in this is like that money isn't just gonna go straight to the family. They're gonna
No,
have to sue for it. It's gonna go to
so
the
hard.
state, and that's another fucked up part where, like, everything that is gathered from this needs to go straight to the family. The state does not fucking need that money. It is a
No.
punishment for the business, and it needs to go to the people who actually need it, because that dude was either a boyfriend, a partner, a husband, he was a son, fucking guaranteed that.
Guarantee that.
His family deserves to never have to work again in their lives for the trauma of knowing that their baby boy died a horrendous death.
And it's
This
it it
company gets
is
away with it?
it's that way, man. It's just the way that it happened that gets me because I
Yeah.
imagine his last moments where he's just reaching for the
Pure
fucking
fear.
wall, man.
God,
And
yeah,
you just
I hope he went into shock quick,
I
'cause
ser I
fuck.
for his sake, I kind of hope he went in like throat first.
Yeah, and it just
Yeah.
done, 'cause
I
oh my
just
god.
oh man.
And,
Non-union
and,
shops,
like,
by the way.
also
Every single thing I've listed has been non-union.
yeah, because unions actually have the ability to stand up and force these fuckwit employers to care
People
about
do
them. It's
die
not that
at union
hard.
shops, but
Well, yeah. I mean, that's this thing. There's always the exception that proves the rule. People love to cling to that. Be like, but there's one time this happened. It's like, yes, but multiple times that death horrible thing happened too. So like one time, multiple
yeah.
times.
So here,
Ah,
I have another one that uh, I don't want to use the word fun,
yeah,
but it's a little more.
interesting.
Sure. Um, yeah, flamboyant. I'll call it flamboyant.
Alright.
So this is a little interesting one because it's not quite a death at work so much as it is a death at the workplace because people were working around them. This happened. The person ended up dying, unfortunately, at Powell County Memorial Hospital in Deer Lodge, Montana.
Hmm.
So fucking Deer Lodge, Montana. The last time I was there, it was called Deer Trek, Montana,
Meh.
and only about 700 people there. They were pretty chill though. Frankie was all
Hmm.
right. So at 9:30 on August 18th, 2019, an employee was covering a demolition derby at the fairground. I'm assuming the announcer.
Meh.
So okay, maybe she was working there. I think I misread that when I read it earlier. Anyway,
Yeah.
she was announcing the demolition derby at the fairground, and she was struck by one of the cars.
Oh,
Just struck by one of the cars. That's it.
fuck.
That's the end. Well, actually, the last
Jesus.
sentence is the employee was killed,
Fuck. Just again, another person who's just doing their thing, doing it. Hey, welcome to the.
and they got a $8,500 fine for that. And an informal settlement, by the way, so it didn't even go to litigation.
Holy shit. I mean, I hope the family got a fuck ton of money from that because holy
Well,
shit.
I don't know. I don't know because I know these small town fairs, and I'm sure you do too. The demo derby is a big, big thing. I legitimately don't know that they would go out of their way to threaten the livelihood of the demo derby because that's like the thing that so many people around these small towns look forward to. I mean, there's a town in northern
Yeah.
Illinois, Pecatonica, Illinois. It's got like one of the biggest demo derbies in the Midwest. And
Yeah.
people come from states, plural, away to compete in it. So maybe this is one of those. I don't know, but
God.
I hope. I mean, I hope the family just fucking reamed them. But then who do you sue? Do you sue the person driving the
The
demo car because
driver?
they're just out there doing what they were supposed to be doing, or do you sue the fairground for not protecting its employees? I'll probably go that route, obviously.
I think so, yeah, because it's like if you're putting on the show, you should be putting your people in safe positions to do what they need to do. Good God. I mean, that reminds me of a friend went to see a concert. She stepped into like a thing that had some acorns on top of it, but it looked like it was level with the ground. It turns out it was a pothole. Broke her ankle, like horribly broke her ankle. So
Oh,
she went to try and like sue the grounds. And basically, because this happened in Ohio, even though the EMTs were like, wow, we've had a lot of injuries tonight because of these potholes filled with acorns. Unless in Ohio, unless you can get that EMT to make that statement and you can provide like solid data, like camera footage of multiple people having that issue, there's basically nothing that can be done. So much so that like when contacting a lawyer, that business was so safe because a business is more important than a person in Ohio that that lawyer was like, "Thank God you're from Michigan. We'll just sue them from Michigan and you have a case. But if you were from Ohio, we can't do anything for you." We have a horrible legal structure that protects businesses as if they are people. And that's part of what's wrong with our culture. Like, people are more important than businesses. Businesses are not people. But also, the leaders of these
Citizens United.
businesses should be fucking serving terms for causing deaths, especially the one, that horrible auger one with the repeated
I'm honestly
mention.
going to be thinking about that for a while because like that really kind
Oh,
of got to me just because
God.
I can so vividly picture it. I've seen the
Yes, I
exact
mean,
silo they're talking about. I know exactly the setting that he died in.
well, where I was from, we had augers for different purposes. I can easily just imagine, like, it was our fear to get caught up in one of those things.
Yeah.
Like,
I've got a
and
buddy
again,
who his
businesses
dad
shouldn't be on the
lost a
show for
leg
that.
to an auger.
Oh,
That guy never had to work again. He was able to get a settlement big enough
rightfully
to
so.
do that. He also shortly before that, or right around the same time, their house
Yeah.
burnt down.
Oof.
And this is like, dude, we're talking fifth, sixth, seventh grade, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of misfortune in that family for a short period.
Yeah. God. But I mean, at least in his case, it worked out that he didn't have to work another day in his life. I hope he never had to worry about money because, like, that's how it should be. End of story. I am so done with hearing people cry about, like, "I'm a small business owner. I only own 30 McDonald's
No
franchises. What
shit,
can I
man.
do?"
My
Fuck
business is
off.
only worth $12 million. Like, really?
Yeah. Oh,
It-
yeah, for a lot of these things, like, oh god, let me see. What is the minimum you need? How much do you need to buy a McDonald's chain?
I want to say it's like $500,000 or 250 or something like that. That's pretty up there. McDonald's requires
Uh,
liquidity from you.
let's see. So, the minimum franchise fee is $45,000. At that point, the total recommended investment is somewhere between 1 to 2.5 million, which is real estate, construction, equipment, and inventory. Liquid assets, McDonald's requires franchisees to have 500,000 in non-borrowed personal resources.
Net value, net worth, whatever.
Yep. And the 30 example was one that I used to believe it was a person out of California who was talking about the minimum wage being raised on their employees and going, that'll bankrupt me. Spoiler alert, they're completely fine.
Completely fine.
Yep.
Completely fine. You know who isn't completely fine? A
Or
44-year-old man who. So,
This is like the fucked up version of Soldier A. Soldier A in anime is like the guy who always gets killed off really early. It's just employee one, and it's just darker.
oh man, employee number one. We could probably start a series called that, and it would just be
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
Just be employees dying in funny ways, though. Not like
like
these
the
kinds of
Darwin
ways.
Awards.
Yeah, exactly
Yeah,
like that. Except for, not because I don't want to rip anyone off.
can we do one for executives when they do stupid shit, like buy a yacht that sinks and then they die on it? It's like, fucker.
We'll definitely have to do some kind of we'll definitely have to do some kind of year-end award
Yeah,
ceremony. We'll
yeah,
figure it out.
yeah, yeah,
We'll
yeah.
figure it out. I want to get to one
Yes,
more real quick.
yeah,
We're running low on
of
time
course.
here, but I want to cover this one because this could happen to
All
anyone
right. Okay.
who's rented equipment, who's doing yard work. This could happen to you in your home. So what I did with these, I had a bunch of them picked out, and I cherry picked the ones for various occasions. I cherry picked the one that happened, just slipping on a pallet. Oh,
Yeah,
breaking your
fun.
hip. That's crazy. And then, so anyway, at 1:30 p.m. Oh, this is by the way, Environmental Tree Service LLC in Beaumont, Texas.
God, this is like a horror film where you start to suspect where it's going as you learn more context, and you're just like, how fucking bad is it gonna be? Uh,
This one happened fast. So there's that at
okay.
least. At 1:30 p.m. on April 22nd, 2024, super recent, an employee was working as a groundskeeper for a tree service. The employee was using a rope to secure and brace a bush to prevent it from coming into contact with the rotating wheel of a Bandit SG-75 track stump grinder. The rope became entangled in the rotating wheel and wrapped around the employee's body. The employee was pulled toward the cutting wheel, causing him to strike his head on the wheel's debris cover,
Oh,
and he died from blunt force trauma. So, what I was talking about earlier with the machine cover being necessary and
mhm.
why it fucking saved me from getting a piece of rebar in the neck, it don't always save you.
Yeah. I mean, that's
And
such a crazy series of circumstances that
yeah,
just fuck.
so what I gathered from this is like when I was envisioning it, it was like the tree almost just grabbed him and pushed him. Like whatever, like some entity, he just had it out for this 44-year-old dude. Dude was just like,
Oh,
you're the guy
done.
today.
Yeah.
And
Jesus.
it's because like the rope gave out, the tree gave out something, and it just whiplashed and it was
Yep.
just so fast.
And that's it.
It
It's
doesn't
gone.
say how long he was hospitalized or if he was hospitalized. It just said he died from blunt force trauma to the head.
Jesus. So, how much did they get fined for it? And do we know if the family got anything?
See, OSHA doesn't go into the legalese after the fact, so I don't know. I'm sure I could look up public record in Beaumont, Texas, but I would have to do that off air. That
Yeah, yeah.
would take some time.
God.
Dude, there. No, I mean they had a serious violation. It was $4,800, and they appealed it down to 3,900. But I can't.
This one's a little more like an act of God almost. Like I kind of get
Right,
it.
like, yeah, see, like, I used to be a landscaper too. I've been a lot of things in my day, but I used to be a landscaper too when I was in high school. And so I can envision this scenario, and of course I've just done yard work, I've removed bushes and stuff. I can envision this scenario where he's just tying up a bush, like a pine bush or something, and he's
Yeah,
just tying it up like this, like a Christmas tree, is what I'm
yeah,
imagining. And then he gets a little too close with that wheel, with that stump grinder, and it
yep,
catches that. And because the stump grinder is spinning this fucking fast, that
yeah.
rope is going at least that fast, and it wraps around him, and that's
Oh
it.
God.
So this can happen to anyone at home.
Yeah,
I could have picked dozens, maybe even hundreds that involve people falling off of ladders at work. I could have
yeah.
picked some falling, like falling out of trucks, dude. A lot of people, a lot of
Okay, yeah.
dudes actually will die falling out of the cab of their truck at work.
Jesus.
Yeah,
God. And like it just seems like the commonality in this is like even if it's more towards like an act of God or something, or if it's just straight up a business being wildly negligent, there's no guarantee in our country that these people are going to be taken care of afterwards. There's no guarantee that their families are going to be taken care of afterwards. It's really like the government comes in and slaps the business's hand and walks away. And as we've seen in multiple examples, the businesses just have to wring their hands and look pathetic at Uncle Sam, and Uncle Sam drops the charges down a bunch for him, or OSHA, I should say.
yeah.
It's crazy. Like we need a severely better work culture. The call has gone out for in 2028, I believe it is, for there to be a mass strike. Like as many people as possible. But also we can start now. There's already people starting now. And if we don't start now, it's going to get so much worse before 2028.
Well, if there wasn't a call to strike in 2028, there fucking is now. Start saving
Absolutely.
people. We're going on strike.
Right.
We might have to be on strike for 6 months. But if
Yeah.
enough of us go on strike,
Oh,
it'll be a pretty short one.
absolutely. Well, my OBS studio disconnected.
Oh no.
That's awkward.
That's right. We're
Hold on.
right at the end anyway. We're just wrapping her up.
Yep. I think we're back in. Let me make sure. Let me see what's happening. Might have to double it up. Let me give this a second. All right.
Good.
I think so. Oh, no, wait, it paused. There we go. No, 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 no. It is. It is stuck. It dropped out. Let me stop the streaming and start us back in. Oh, OBS.
But
Oh, it is struggle busing right now.
oh shit.
Come on.
Well, I mean, we could just wrap it up right here. That was the last one I really wanted to go over.
Let me just. Do we need? We probably need to record our outro real quick. Yeah.
I am recording on Google, so that's not a problem. I
Okay.
can just
Yeah,
do
it's
that.
probably good. It looks like it's a catastrophic OBS crash.
That's right. That happens. Oh yeah, it says right there. Went offline. Well, I guess we're
Yep.
done. Uh, thanks for watching, people.
I'll ping the chat.
I'll record the quick outro when I go to edit it all, and we'll get that out of the way there.